I'm delighted to have Vinny Perth on the line with us this morning. Morning, Vinny. How are things?
Good morning. Great to hear Johnny writing off another team there. The poor Dubs have been written off.
What do you think, Vinny?
Truth to form, I think the Dubs will win the All-Ireland. There you go.
Oof.
I think people are over-analysing them. Just leave them alone and they'll go and win it.
Let them do it. We should stay on Mayo while we're on Mayo, Vinny, as well, because we had the news this week as well. The founding of Mayo FC, massive day for soccer in County Mayo. This officially launched in the Bravey House Hotel on Monday in the presence of local politicians, FAI officials as well. So the club are going to enter under 15 boys teams into the League of Ireland in 2024 and an under 17 girls team as well. Then you'll have under 17 and under 19 males teams at the earliest opportunity, we're told as well. No date yet set for Mayo FC entering adult men's team into the League of Ireland, but positive steps for soccer in Mayo, Vinny.
Oh, it's huge. I think the more of this we see, people will say is Kerry a success because of the results, but that's nonsense. It's going to take them a while to build a club, and I think it's brilliant to see football in Kerry, and if you add Mayo to that over the next few years, I think that's what we need to continue to develop our league. I think the league has made huge strides on and off the pitch over the last number of years, and the more we can bring that to different communities and different counties, and when you look at the success of the GAA, to be fair, so much of it is county driven, and the more we can have of that, I think the better. So no, it's just brilliant news. And on a serious note, Nathan Murphy seems to go to Tallaght Stadium to support Shamrock Rovers, so I'm sure he'll be he'll have a decision to make over the next couple of years, which is great to see.
He's right there, and he had a decision to make to avoid me forevermore after that tweet about Galway on Sunday. That went down like a lead balloon.
What was the tweet? Sorry.
It's basically like 4 games that would not happen in the quarterfinals. Galway versus Galway versus Galway versus Galway versus. Yeah, it didn't go down well, Nathan. Don't turn up in Galway anytime soon, basically.
It's good though, Johnny, isn't it, for football in Maine? You've said this before, even Tipperary or Monaghan, areas that need something like this to happen as well.
Nathan's dad, Mihal, Nathan obviously, like the thing Vinny's saying is true. Like Nathan finds it weird where his kids are wearing Shamrock Rovers jerseys. Like Nathan's dad, Mihal, was like a true Mayo football man, and Mayo has serious football players coming through as well. And I did a piece on Sunday in the Business Post just about like Shamrock Rovers underage. Marie Crowe was telling me this about her own son, that they're very, very happy for kids to play other sports as well, and I hope that'll be the case in Mayo, that the football and like the Gaelic football entities in Mayo will let kids play soccer as well, like Andy Moran did when he was younger, and let the kid see what he or she wants to do, because we're a sports mad country, and I hope in Mayo, like Mayo has serious soccer players coming through down the years, and I'm absolutely delighted for this to happen.
Just a quick one on that, Shane. Sorry, just to say, wouldn't it be great to see another push from Monaghan to return to the league? Big time. And Monaghan was never, I wouldn't say it was never serious, but I think the terms and conditions now are slightly different for Irish football, and I think if Monaghan made a comeback, I think it would be so much more welcome in the community. And
Monaghan really has a history, and it has a ground, like it's not even starting from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the more this we get, the league will continue to grow, and I think I hope there's certain moves or whatever happening around Monaghan, and I'd love to see that returning as well.
I know the appetite is there certainly in the town and the county to have a team return, so hopefully that can happen in other regions, as you say, across Ireland as well. It can only help the development of young players.
We need promotion relegation to Division 1, to make that would make it really, really interesting. And even if you're bringing in B teams into a third tier and maybe university teams, if you can add in then the likes of Mayo and 2 or 3 others, I think in fairness to the FAI, this is a great ambition to have that third tier.
Yeah, definitely a step in the right direction with Mayo FC being announced this week. Vinny, you were in Tallaght Stadium last night. Shamrock Rovers 1, Derry City 0. The other game, of course, was the 1-1 draw between Dundalk and St Pat's. So Rovers extended their lead at the top of the table to 7 points now, ahead of both Derry and Pats. Derry marginally ahead of Pats just on goal difference. Dundalk 3 adrift of Derry and Pats on 36 points and 10 off Shamrock Rovers. Is the league all but over at this stage?
Oh, look, it certainly feels that way. I mean, I've said so many times, I think Rovers will win the league by plus 10 points, and you may begin to stretch that out. I think we don't really have a serious title contender. I know people felt Derry are. I just felt it was too early in the process. And you must say, in defence of Derry, when I was sitting in the stand last night, and I seen sitting close to me was Patrick McElhenney, Michael Duffy, Will Patching, and Colin Whelan has been out for the whole season effectively. So almost no team bar Rovers could survive without that. And if Derry are going to have a title push, they needed those 3 or 4 players to be part of it. So you would say the title race is heading one way as it seems now, but it's going to be a long way back for others. There was a spell last night where Pats were beating Dundalk, and they were the ones most likely to push them, which seems a bit strange. So it leaves a couple of questions in terms of how easy Rovers are to win this league, because they have had 10 games where they've drawn 7 and lost 3, which has allowed them a little bit of leeway that you wouldn't like. I think Shamrock Rovers will be a better team if somebody pushes them, and that's my concern at the moment.
Can I ask you on this, Vinny, in terms of Europe? I was just watching the first 15 minutes last night, how open Rovers were in midfield. Really, they were really under the cosh without Gary O'Neill. Do you see them being a better team in 2023 in Europe than they were in 2022?
I think that's to be. I mean, I made the point a couple of weeks ago, and not everyone agrees with it, that I think Rovers need to be a little bit more clinical at times. Okay, so what I mean by that is they've scored more goals than everyone else. So yes, they're the best team. There's no doubt in that. But what they've got to do is put teams away. And you go back to last night's game. It took them a while to get into. I think you've got to give Rory Higgins huge credit. I thought that first 25 minutes Derry were exceptional, and they put Rovers under a lot of pressure, and they were asking questions of the staff and to be fair to Stephen Bradley and the staff, they made a slight tactical change with Sean Hoare and Sean Kavanagh, which tightened up the trouble Ryan Graydon was causing them, and then they took over the game. But the answer to your question is we're going to see, like, they probably had the toughest draw in Europe in many ways of all the teams, which is a bit ironic, but we've yet to see. And when I say more clinical, just to highlight that point, when they were 2-0 up against Bohs the other night on Friday night, they had 3 or 4 chances to go and just finish that game and get rid of them, and they didn't. And even last night's game, there was very few clear-cut chances from both teams, and that in Europe you'll only get 1 or 2 chances, maybe 3, and you've got to be clinical. And that's my only concern about them heading into Europe. But that experience of last year will certainly help them, and once they get through that first round, I think there's another group stages in that team this year.
You're speaking about Europe, Vinny. There was some interesting comments from Rory Higgins after the match last night, where he's talking about he's essentially calling for the league season to be extended. So he says teams competing in Europe are being punished by the summer schedule. He says the campaign could maybe be extended by a week or 2, or you could do away with the mid-season break. Does he have a point here?
Yeah, I think now that everyone is full-time, I think the season should be extended. I was calling for that back in 2019. I remember playing, I think it was 18 games in 56 days. It is really, really difficult, but that's the price. That's the price you pay for a lot of rewards in Europe. Winning 2-3 games could be worth close to £1 million for a club. So there's yin and yang in that. There's no doubt the league should be extended now that all the teams are full time. Whatever about the mid-season break, what was good about this mid-season break is there was a real focus on the Irish international team, so therefore we would have got lost a little bit. So I'm not against the mid-season break. A lot of clubs do it and different things around international windows, but certainly extending the season. Derry looked short last night in terms of the squad. I mentioned the 3 players, and also that travel Friday, Monday can be really difficult for some of the regional teams. But they're full-time, probably no real excuse. Build a bigger squad, he would say, all of them things. But there's no doubt he has a point made. But it is what it is, and it has been that for the last 7, 8, 10 years. So got to deal with it.
It's a funny one, Vinny, on coaching, isn't it? Like, and like whatever Rory Higgins has had to go through personally, which really goes well beyond the words that I can muster up here. You mentioned those players. Like Rory Higgins goes into this season thinking, right, this is my best team, and if A is injured, if you have those 4 players you're talking about, and like Conley at full tilt, they probably should be challenging Shamrock Rovers, and it just hasn't happened because they're not fit.
Yeah, there's also some inconsistency with Derry when they've had close to full fitness as well. So, and that's because they're developing as a squad, and time is coming. So you look at Patrick and Michael Duffy, for example, Patrick McElhenney. There's probably 8 league titles between the two of them, sitting there on your stands and bench. And when games are tough, you need to turn to those players.
Colin Wheeler is nearly a bigger one, Vinny, is he?
Yeah, I think they lack, and it's not to be critical of McGonigal or Keane Cabinet. There was a couple of times last night where the ball flashes across the middle of the box, and I think if you have a centre forward of note, he certainly makes a better run to create something from him. It looked like, I think, for all the possession last night, and he had a lot of it, and so to come away from Derry for a second, is that there's a lot of possession and passing for pass sake. I've mentioned this before, and you obviously watch the league really closely, Johnny, and probably don't agree with me, which is fine. But sometimes you got to have a bit of cutting edge in the final third, and it's wrong to take last night's game in isolation, but neither keeper made a real save of note in the game.
Vinny, I had my match report written at 70 minutes. Like, I was like, Derry have not a hope in hell of scoring here. Like, they were literally creating nothing.
Yeah, and I think that's where you look at a team like Sligo Rovers struggling. I haven't seen the stats in the last couple of weeks, and I mentioned stats, and I'm not really a stats man, but they probably, outside of Rovers, I think they've made more passes than anyone else in the league. And I'm sure if you ask the Sligo Rovers fans, stop making a few passes around the back and get it into the box. And while that sounds old-fashioned, and I'd like to think I'm not, I think we've got to come up with a hybrid. And last night was a pretty stale game, and maybe that's more to the point of Rory's Friday, Monday, where you can't be too fresh. Rovers looked a little bit tired and leggy in the first 25 minutes, and the goal went their way. So we've got to see, like, look, you think of someone like Pat Hoban. He's a bit of a throwback to the old style sort of centre forward, but we're probably lacking that, and Derry are most certainly lacking someone like that to put their chances away.
Pico Lopez picking up man of the match as well. Solid performance from him last night.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Good to see. And from an Irish perspective,
sorry, can I just pick? I was a bit. Pico Lopez has probably been the best centre half in the last couple of years. I know Conley, but it's funny. It's funny how we all have different opinions. Last night I just thought he was a little bit off for his highest standards, which is strange, but there you go.
Is this the one-on-one with McGonigal, or?
Well, yeah, there was a couple of instances he kicked the ball out of play for a corner as well, and he just didn't look settled as much as I've seen him before, and there was a little bit of that in the Bows game. But as I said, I think Pico Lopez has been a standing centre half for the last number of years, and he's a real organiser. But it's funny how people have different views again.
Yeah, I just thought he was, I think, but he's fresh from playing Morocco in front of 50,000 people, playing all the Moroccan, and like Vinny is right now. He kicked the ball inexplicably out of play, but I just think Rovers look so much better when he's there. There we go.
Yeah. Solid. From an Irish perspective, Vinny, Nathan Collins and Darragh O'Shea look likely for Premier League action next season. So Brentford, of course, for Nathan Collins, we're waiting to see. That is likely to be a record Irish transfer fee if and when it is concluded, and Darragh O'Shea joining Burnley, and of course under the tutelage of Vincent Kompany, who was a decent defender himself back in the day. So two good moves.
Yeah, you would say on paper they're good moves. My big concern about looking at the sort of the Irish squad coming out the last window is our next game in September. The challenge we have is, and it's part of Stephen's problem, is where do these guys go? Like Nathan Collins, we thought on paper was a perfect move from the Wolves last year. For whatever reason, change of manager, it didn't work out for him. So we have got a lot of players in that window of. So you look at Troy Parrott, what's his next move? What do Spurs do with him? Jason Knight is still at Derby, and we look in sort of green tinted glasses and we go, Jason Knight's a great player and he should be in this level and that one. Nobody's really come in from him, and you would imagine if there was good money on the table, Derby wouldn't turn it down from him. So we've got so many players that are at crossroads continuously in their careers, and it's a big sort of summer for a lot of Irish players. You look at Josh Cullen and people will say, what a move, he's now a Premiership player, Burnley's worked out for him. But how is that going to go from? So do Burnley struggle in the first couple of weeks, and do you take him out and go for someone more physical? So there's a lot of these moving parts, and a lot of our Irish players are in a sort of crossroads of where their next move is. So it's really interesting watching. I think we can only cross our fingers and hope that those moves go through, and the likes of Troy Parrott and Obafemi end up playing games of football and give the manager sort of headaches with first team players.
Yeah, absolutely. Vinny, great stuff as always. Thanks a million for hopping on this morning.